Hi guys, what's going on? Welcome to another video. In this video we're going to be looking at ganking weapons, open world weapons, just PvP weapons outside of the 5v5 meta. I've not done an actual tier list for this just because I don't think it needs one, if I'm totally honest with you guys. I'm just going to go through some good weapons, some weapons that really stand out as just stupidly strong. For open world ganking, for things like ZvZ, I'm going to go for a bit of a general overview. So if you're interested in the PvP outside of Hellgates or GVGs, stick around and listen. So first of all, Curse kind of doesn't have anything really notable. Frost has the Icicle and the Hoarfrost. Both of these are just ridiculously strong in ZvZ. However, pretty trash in sort of small scale. Basically, when I say small scale, I mean anything less than 5-man PvP. As soon as you get past that, you're starting to get into the realms of a bit more organised PvP. Before that, I think you're just going to have it's pretty much going to be an outnumbered fight. You just got to keep them crowd controlled. So small scale fights, anything less than 5 people involved, in my opinion. So again, Hoarfrost Staff and Icicle, both amazing for ZvZ, pretty bad for small scale. All the other Frost Staffs are meh. Fire Staff, Fire's pretty bad actually. So for ZvZ, you've got the Wildfire, the Brimstone, and the Infernal, all great staffs. In fact, pretty much every staff except the normal one, the Great Fire's good as well, are good for ZvZ. In terms of ganking, I just don't see them being strong. Moving on to the Hunter weapons then, we have the famous Double-Bladed Staff. Double-Bladed Staff is one of the strongest. I still believe is probably second strongest right now for ganking. It has the slow on the E, the stun on the W, the stuns on the Q, the stun on the passive. You've just got so much crowd control. Get enough mastery in there, you'll have lots of damage. Pair that with an assassin jacket for good burst, or with a stalker jacket for just good sustained AoE damage. You've got so much you can do with this. I genuinely think this is one of the best ganking weapons right now. And then you've got the Soul Scythe. Soul Scythe being amazing for ZvZ. That Tornado, just the slow to it. Just the slow on its own is strong enough. You then knock people up and they're completely out of the fight. They can't cleanse it, they can't heal it, they can't do anything. It's such a strong CC. It's like a stun on steroids. Definitely very good. In terms of the other weapons, I mean, Ironclad has uses, but still I can't see it being great. Black Monk's Stave is pretty useless, and Quarterstaff, I haven't seen anyone make it work yet. However, that route could be really nice. Definitely give Quarterstaff a try as well, with the stun run into the route. You could potentially pin someone down for a long length of time. Daggers. Daggers are in a weird spot. Dagger Pair's still capable of ganking people, however is not in a good spot with its damage. It just doesn't do enough damage, I don't think, to get through that horse before it's likely to escape. It does have the mobility to go through, and that's one thing you're going to hear a lot as we go on to a couple of the weapons now. All of the weapons that are super strong for ganking, small scale PvP, are just mobile weapons. They're weapons that can get around very quickly and do a significant amount of crowd control and damage in one. Obviously, Dagger Pair doesn't offer the crowd control, but it offers the damage and the mobility, making it quite a good weapon, but not having the full package. You then have Claws. Claws kind of adds that crowd control in with the Disembowel, with the root. It has decent enough damage, but it's not great. It has the mobility. If you get a Disembowel on someone, that might be the horse gone. If you paired up with other people, that's almost certainly their horse gone. Pairing up with other people, if you've got someone else to do the majority of the damage, you're just there at that point for the crowd control. I think Claws are an amazing option for ganking. In terms of open world PvP, or sorry, ZvZ, I don't think Daggers are meant to be there at all. None of their weapons are suited to that playstyle. Spears. Spears are a weird one. So you've got the Spirit Hunter, which is the harpoon. You can pull someone to you and root which is really strong in PvP, like in small scale. If you pull someone to you, you're going to pull them to you, root them, and do a lot of damage. If you're playing with other people, if you're reliable at hitting them harpoons, you're going to be doing a lot for ganking. You've then got the Glaive, which is kind of like a worse version of the Spirit Hunter. You've got to be up close and personal, but if you get there, you can fling someone back out the way. All spears also have cripple, which reduces their speed by a long period of time, and it also removes any speed buffs if they're like off their mount and popping run. You can remove that buff and give yourself a move speed increase. So spear is definitely a good one. Spirit Hunter, Heron Spear for the stun, Glaive for the pullback. I think all three of them are good for open world. In terms of ZvZ, again, I just don't see this having a real place. It doesn't have the AoE sort of PvP commitment that it needs. We then have the bow. So bows are one of my favourites. As you can see, it's quite high mastery for what it is. The Wailing Bow is fantastic for ZvZ. Potentially one of the strongest weapons in game for ZvZ. It's an instant cast doing some of the highest amounts of damage you can get in the game. Like literally been able to one-shot people at some points, which is pretty insane. You then have, I'm going to skip over the Warbow for a second because I want to talk about that one just a little bit more in depth. You then have the Longbow, which is amazing for ZvZ. Like it does a lot of AoE pressure and a slow, which is quite cool. Problem is it is channeled. The range is quite long though, so it's a bit of give and take. If you can ever get a Zerg to come through a choke, you can pummel these down and they're going to do an absolute ton. You then have the Whispering Bow. Whispering Bow is kind of a bit of a weird one. So we'll go into it more in a second with the Warbow. However, Whispering Bow is kind of good in ZvZ for focused firing, because you can do it from such a safe range. It's also good in ganking in that you can keep someone perma dazed. Like they're not going to get gallop on the horses if you've got a Whispering Bow, because you can always get that auto attack off. Moving on then to the Warbow. Warbow is probably, in my opinion, the #1 ganking weapon right now. Especially with the recent changes. So now it only takes 40 mastery to get speed shot, and then 15 mastery to get poison arrow. That's the two main tools you need for ganking, given to you before you even hit T7, before you even hit halfway on the LP marker, on the mastery marker. Level 40, you can go out and you are as strong as anyone capable for ganking. And that makes it really strong. You also have the natural slow on your passive anyway, which just helps out. I think Warbow is just really strong. Go and have a look at like people like Norsk for Warbow videos. He really just kites around all day long, puts out a tremendous amount of damage. The guy's a very, very good player, and Warbow's definitely a specialty. Moving on then, you've got the Crossbows. So crossbow, main crossbow with snipe. I actually saw this used in a small scale ganking situation. They were using this with the claws because you could just pump a Sunder Armor and a snipe shot, and the Sunder Armor, because you aren't hitting them, you're hitting the horse. The Sunder Armor applies at full stacks, which means you can then get a huge snipe off. It was pretty much killing off a horse and doing some significant damage to the player as well. Like, it was doing a lot. However, you do need that combo to make that work. Something that's going to lock them down and stop you being interrupted. You've got the heavy crossbow. Heavy crossbow is amazing for ZvZ. You're going to interrupt so many people, so many channels. You're going to be doing a lot of damage if you can hit people. It's got a long range and a decent-ish low cooldown. You then have the light crossbow. Again, light crossbow is a bit of a great one just because you can stick that bomb on someone. If they don't realise quick enough, and it's not a long time to realise, I think it's only like a second or a second and a half, you're going to basically, they're going to blow up in their team and just cause a tremendous amount of damage for ZvZ. Again, for low scale PvP, it's okay, you can make it work because you can put the bomb on them. You've got the channel. Channel's obviously known to go past their range. You can do some significant damage to a horse, potentially enough to get it off by yourself, but you're going to struggle because all of your abilities require you to be stood still, so you might struggle to actually keep up with the damage after that. Weeping Repeater. Weeping Repeater I think is crazy strong for ZvZ. You put these mines down into an enemy team, no matter what happens, they're going off, whether you have to, like, whether one of your team stands on them or one of their team. When it goes off, it's a large radius, it does a large amount of damage, it's going to hit hard and it's going to hit fast. Very underrated weapon, by the way. Boltcasters. Boltcasters are actually one I don't like because boltcasters can be interrupted quite easily. The channel is really long and it's only single target damage. Like, I just don't like boltcasters for either... For ZvZ anyway. Boltcasters for open world, like small scale PvP, again, similar to the crossbow. You get someone locked down long enough that you can put your boltcaster's E on them. That might be enough to get them off the horse, but again, you're not going to be able to follow up on that damage really. We then have the hammer. I'm just going to skip over the hammer, I think. Nothing of the hammer except Tomb Hammer has any worth really in like ZvZ or ganks. Tomb Hammer has a really long range E. If you hit it, brilliant. You're a god. If you don't, then, well, you're just like me. Tomb Hammer's only good if you land that E, and that E can go up to 26 meters. Like, you're going to dodge it every time. Excuse me. You're going to dodge it a lot. So, yeah, it's good for locking someone down. However, it's going to be hard to hit. Pole Hammer, maybe you can make an argument for with the range stun. But one-handed hammer and great hammer, I just don't see having a place. Forge hammers are a bit of a weird one. I've never seen them work in either situation, to be honest. Mace. I basically think all maces are good for it just because they have snare charge, and snare charge is crazy. However, if I had to pick one like Flail, it's probably a good ganking weapon. Just because you can jump in and root them, like you can snare them. Just as the snare's wearing off, you can root them, keep them still, and put a load of damage. Like the rest of your group can put a load of damage into them. You can lock down a big group doing that yourself. I think it could be quite good. Also, the Bedrock Mace. I've seen this work in small scale PvP. Where someone's managed to slow them down enough that they jumped in front of them and then brute force them back into his team and just knock them back. Really, really strong, really, really funny. Definitely a good laugh. Quite a strong weapon as well if you pull it off. Especially again with the snare charge. Axes in terms of ganking or like small scale PvP, I just don't see doing much. Like, it has high damage, however the mobility on it is terrible, and it has no crowd control, which is two of the three factors of what makes a good solo ganking weapon or a good roaming weapon, is them three. If it doesn't have at least two of them, I just can't see it being good, unfortunately. For ZvZ, yeah, Carrion Call is really nice. Another funny one is the Great Axe. Get that Stalker Jacket out and just go zerging into... Go for your old Blade Storm into the enemy team, doing a lot of damage. Which is quite fun, but like I said, carrying ease, you just start chucking them into a Zerg, that's going to cause a lot of damage. You can also do internal bleeding, which is brilliant. If you run into a team and just put internal bleeding on as many people as you can, as they start running around, they're going to start losing health. And that's just really funny, because a disorganized Zerg is always moving and really takes a lot of damage. And then we have, finally, the swords. So... The Claymore, again... Oh, apologies, my chair's actually breaking at this moment in time. Claymore has decent amount of damage, it's got good mobility, it's got a CC, yeah, it's got everything it needs to make it a good ganking weapon. Very similar to Carving Sword. Carving Sword has the slow for a long duration, a big slow as well, has the move speed increase, has the CC... there's a CC on the slow, decent enough damage. Like, I would actually rate Claymore higher. However, Carving Sword can work really well as well. Dual Swords and Claren and Broadsword, good for damage. But, I mean, they're just going to get picked apart. They don't really have the crowd control to do anything about it. In terms of ZvZ, I'd say Dual Swords and Claren are probably the best ones. Just put that AoE pressure out there. In terms of armors, as what people are wearing... If your idea is that you're going to kill someone or burst someone, like if you're running warbows or double-bladed quarterstaffs, I would definitely recommend that you're running with the assassin jacket, with the stealth. This works in two ways. This is kind of a defensive, is that if you get a group come and try and kill you, you can pop into the ambush, juke away the direction, and you can get on your mountain right away. The other good thing is, if you see someone coming, you can pop into ambush. They're not going to know where you are. You can open on them from ambush, doing a lot of burst damage. Either one, very, very good. In terms of the helmets, Mage Cowl works. for the extra poison damage, like any of the half helmets work for the knockback, for the force field. Again, add in that crowd control. One thing I have seen some people doing is fiend robes. If you're brave enough to take them out, you can literally direct where a player's going to go. They can't run through the fear, and you can just push them away, which is really, really strong, really, really funny. But yeah, guys, so there's not really much else for me to say. This is my opinion on like the weapons and armors that are strong for open world ganking, sort of small scale PvP, and ZvZ. If there's anything you think I've missed, please leave it in the comment below. Other than that, guys, I hope you're having a great day. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for hitting 700 subscribers. We hit it last night. I'm ecstatic about it. I really am. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching, and catch you later. Goodbye.